Do Proverbs chapter 29 for this Bible study this week. First we'll open up in prayer. So dear Lord Jesus, thank you for us giving us this opportunity and a new chance and a new day to learn more about you and to draw us closer to you, Lord Jesus, and that we're able to have a less sufferable life when we apply your wisdom to our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright. I think I've done this one before, but I'm doing a slower version of it because I think I did a fast version of it, so here it is. Welcome Mum and welcome Brett, welcome. Who am I that you are mindful of me, that you hear me when I call? And is it true that you are thinking of me, how you love me? It's amazing. And who am I that you are mindful of me, that you hear me when I call? And is it true that you are thinking of me and how you love me? It's amazing, 'cause I am a friend of God, and I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God, He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God, He calls me friend. 'Cause God Almighty, Lord of glory, you have called me friend. 'Cause God Almighty, Lord of glory, you have called me friend. 'Cause God Almighty, Lord of glory, you have called me friend. 'Cause I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God, He calls me friend. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God. I am a friend of God, He calls me friend. Ding. Oh, welcome Ashton. Welcome Lance. Anywho, thank you for your lovely comments. Moving on to Proverbs chapter 20, chapter 29. Alright, so verse 1. Whoever stubbornly refuses to accept criticism will suddenly be destroyed beyond recovery. Wow, that's intense. So straight to the point. Whoever stubbornly refuses to accept criticism will suddenly be destroyed beyond recovery. Wow. Verse 2, and I'm assuming this is to do, as Mum pointed out last week, this is under the old law, not the new law, the New Testament. Verse 2, when the godly are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked are in power, they groan. I feel like I've already said these things from last week, but here we are again. Verse 3, the man who loves wisdom brings joy to his father, but if he hangs around with prostitutes, his wealth is wasted. And it seems like these are again just one-line sort of points. A just king gives stability to his nation, but one who demands bribes destroys it. To flatter friends is to lay a trap for their feet. That's interesting. To flatter friends is to lay a trap for their feet. I guess when you're being flattering towards people, you are doing it in an intentional way to manipulate them, to put them in an emotional state of where you want them. And that can be a trap, especially when your intentions for them are not you're not thinking of their welfare, you're not thinking of them in a sense at all, you're thinking of yourself. Verse 6, evil people are trapped by sin, but the righteous escape shouting for joy. The godly care about the rights of the poor, and the wicked don't care at all. Mockers can get a whole town agitated, but the wise will calm anger. If a wise person takes a fool to court, there will be ranting and ridicule, but no satisfaction. I guess that's because you'll probably never get the truth or the solid truth or even an honest truth or even a right argument or a productive argument out of a fool. When you take him to court, you'll always get, as it says, ranting and ridicule. They'll just try and name and blame you and, curse you under the sun sort of thing, and not really, and try and put you in a bad light rather than giving a reasonable and logical argument, if that makes sense. Like they won't give you explanations or give the judge explanations of what's going on or why is it going on. They will just ridicule and shame you in front of everyone. Welcome, Jaden, welcome. Number 10, the bloodthirsty hate blameless people. The bloodthirsty hate blameless people, but the upright seek to help them. Isn't that interesting? You could say the ones that are only thinking of themselves are willing to tear down anyone that's in front of them and be of a destructive mentality and hate people that they can't actually pinpoint anything on or, pin any bad towards them because they're always good. But the people that are upright, the ones that are good, are always trying to help those that are corrupt or evil. They're always there finding ways or trying to find ways to get them out of that mental rut and that mental, vicious cycle of always trying to be destructive rather than building up. Number 11, fools vent their anger, but the wise quietly hold it back. And this means more of in a public state or in more of when they're in a situation where someone's arguing and attacking them, and the wise will hold their tongue and wait until the person's calmed down before even discussing the situation or trying to calm it down sort of thing, and try and obviously resolve the miscommunication or the misunderstanding. Number 12, if a ruler pays attention to liars, all his advisors will be wicked. That's true. Verse 13, the poor and the oppressor have this in common. The Lord gives sight to the eyes of both. Amen. Verse 14, if a king judges the poor fairly, his throne will last forever. And that's true. If you treat your people kindly and fairly, especially the ones that are not really that well off, then obviously you'll stay in leadership because people will favor you and like you and appreciate you. Verse 15, to discipline a child produces wisdom, but a mother is disgraced by an undisciplined child. To discipline a child produces wisdom. Actually, someone put up recently, yesterday actually, obedience, maturity comes through obedience or something like that. And then I can't remember the second half of it. But just on that that point, I was there going, I don't believe obedience alone actually creates or generates maturity. And I think personally it comes down to intentional curiosity or curious intentional discipline. You have to be curious of why you want to be, in a sense, obedient to the thing that you want to do. You have to be curious, intentional about being obedient, and have the disciplinary act for you within yourself, disciplining yourself to stick to those good habits. It's not just obedience. So you can be obedient but still be immature, still not understand why you're being obedient, and still resent it and despise it. Despise that obedience and despise the people that you're obeying, or the rule or the regulations that you're obeying. So I think maturity comes from being curious and intentional, intentional discipline of why you're doing what you're doing. And, to discipline a child produces wisdom. And because a child can't discipline themselves effectively, obviously they need a parent. And that continuous discipline, that continuous repetition of the parent explaining why they're doing this the way they're doing it and why it has to be done, it produces wisdom within the children. Verse 16. When the wicked are in authority, sin flourishes, but the godly will live to see their downfall. When the wicked are in authority, sin flourishes, but the godly will live to see their downfall. That's true. 17. Discipline your children, and they will give you peace of mind and will make your heart glad. Amen. When people do not accept divine guidance, they run wild. But whoever obeys the law is joyful. I guess you can say that with order and chaos. When you accept order or divine order, so to speak, you will be joyful if you accept it. If you don't accept, obviously, divine order, then you will be chaos. It says here, they run wild. I mean, they'll be chaotic. It's too much chaos. But whoever obeys the law is joyful. Verse 19. Words alone will not discipline a servant. The words may be understood, but they are not heeded. And I think this is where I just mentioned about maturity, and I didn't even know this verse was coming up, so this is interesting. Words alone will not discipline a servant. So it's understanding. The words may be understood, but they are not heeded. Again, it has to be of a curious intention of wanting to be disciplined, of wanting to be better. You can understand words, you can understand direction, you can understand obedience, but in your heart, it's not really taken into account, or it's not taken to fully understand and to appreciate why those rules or regulations are there. And that's where maturity really does come from. Because, like I said before, you can, like it says here, the words may be understood, but they are not heeded. And is that person really mature? Have they really matured within themselves? Have they really grown to appreciate and understand why those rules and why that discipline is put in place in the first place? Verse 20. There is more hope for a fool than for someone who speaks without thinking. There is more hope for a fool. It's like, as we're saying, like there's like wise people and fools, but there are worse people than fools who speak without thinking. A servant pampered from childhood will become a rebel. A servant pampered from childhood will become a rebel. Interesting. I guess that you can say, like, there's a lot of children when you pamper them, when you give them what they want, and you treat them like, I guess, a king or a queen. When they chuck a tantrum and scream and you give them all what they want, like they get everything they want, they ask for it, eventually they will become a rebel in society, because when they don't get what they want, they'll chuck a tantrum and they will go against society's demands or society's rules, conventions, paradigms, etc. They will rebel and they will make chaos. When they don't get what they want, they'll chuck a tantrum outside. And you see that a lot. You probably even see it in your workplace sometimes. When if someone in your workplace doesn't get what they want, they will chuck a tantrum. They will make everyone's life hell within that workplace and try and disrupt it until they get what they want. And when you give them what they want, then they're like, oh, I'm happy now. But then they're still dissatisfied because they still see other people really happy for what they've got. And because they're like, oh, is this really what I want? It didn't really bring me that much happiness. They'll try and then, be more upset and chuck another tantrum just to find out what they want again, but they don't really know what they want. So it's a hard circle going around. And it's not that fun. Not that fun to be in. So don't pamper your child, okay? They will become a rebel society. A menace. As Jordan Peterson always says. 22. An angry person starts fights. A hot-tempered person commits all kinds of sins. All kinds of sin. I guess that just shows you, I would say a hot-tempered person really means a person that's always in rage. They're out of control, that they will just go and hurt, break things, disrespect people's property, breaking things, hurting animals, hurting themselves and even hurting other people. That's where, they commit all kinds of sin. It's sometimes beyond their sense of control or anyone's control to try and contain them, sort of thing. So you have an angry person that can start fights, but then you have a person in rage and they'll go beyond just starting fights. Verse 23, pride ends in humiliation, while humility brings honor. And with this word humiliation, it might not mean people laughing at you in a sense of mockery. It's that humbleness or humility, because that's where humility comes from. Well, humiliation comes from the word humility, where you're putting yourself in that vulnerable position to be seen or perceived as uneducated or pathetic, unequal or lower than other people, sort of thing. Humility comes from a sense of, right now, or I'm not that great of a person. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything, and I probably don't know anything right now. But I have the opportunity and the position to learn and grow. It's that state of knowing that I'm in a place of growing. Because when we have pride stops us from growing and stops us from developing and being better versions. Pride thinks, oh, we already know everything. We don't need to know anything else. When humiliation goes, you know what? I know some things, but I don't know everything. There could be different ways of showing or learning or growing or doing things than what I know right now. It's like, here's an example. Photoshop, I use Photoshop quite a bit, and I know one way of, cutting photos or, Photoshopping stuff. But there are tons of other ways to get the same effect, maybe even more efficiently than what I know, and I just don't know it. Because sometimes I scroll through Instagram and I follow this design page or group, and I see some things of how they do things, and I'm going, oh wow, I take the extra 10-step long way and they get it done in 3 simple, and I'm going, oh wow, is that what that tool does? Oh, is that what that option is? Oh, hello, I don't know that. And then it's just I don't know anything at all of Photoshop at all. Even though I've been using it for the past 10 years, I still don't know anything at all. Continuing on, verse 24, if you assist a thief, you only hurt yourself. You are sworn to tell the truth, but you dare not testify. Isn't that interesting? How struggling, you help out a thief, as it says here, you assist a thief, and they get caught, not by you, so to speak, because you assisted, but let's say they get caught by authorities. And they get put on court. And then you're standing up there to because you've been called as a witness or whatever, or a person in question, or a person to be questioned of your participating in, or you witnessing what was going on, or people saw that you were there being part of it, or but you're sworn to tell the truth. Like you want to be a good person, you want to tell the truth, but you don't want to testify against them, because that will prove to everyone else as well that you're guilty, because you have to tell the truth that you're participating in assisting this thief. You only hurt yourself. You only hurt yourself when you help people that are doing wrong. Verse 25, fearing people is a dangerous trap, but trusting the Lord means safety. Isn't that interesting? Fearing people is a dangerous trap. And now this one's got it highlighted. Oops. That's just cross-references. You're not afraid of them that kill the body. It's quite interesting because it says fearing people is a dangerous trap. And the only reason why we fear other people is because we might feel that they might tarnish our reputation, or they might hurt us physically, mentally, etc. And we don't want to go through that, so we fear them. We want to stay away from them. But the problem is you're putting yourself in a dangerous trap. You could be silenced, for example, when you probably need to speak out. When something's gone wrong and you know the truth and you need to speak out, but because you're in fear of someone shaming you or belittling you or hurting you, you keep silent. But that's a dangerous trap. You want to get out of that. But it says here, trusting the Lord means safety. And maybe, physically, because there are people that are being murdered right now in certain countries because of their faith in Christianity. So, it might not mean here, physically, you might not be safe, so to speak, but spiritually, receiving a place in heaven is your safety, so to speak. Verse 26. Many seek, this is also the Old Testament, so trusting in the Lord will probably mean your physical safety to a degree, because God did quite big miraculous things, as you can remember from the stories, that we don't see those massive miracles. Well, I don't see those massive miracles in our Western culture today, such as, people raised from the dead, the waters parting, other stuff that I can't think of right now. Anyway, continuing on, verse 26. Many seek the ruler's favor, but justice comes from the Lord. Many seek the ruler's favor, but it's not the ruler that is your judge. 27. The righteous despise the unjust. The wicked despise the godly. And that's 27 verses of Proverbs chapter 29. Only 2 more chapters after this one. I'll go now to Adrian's post. Adrian. And number 29, his post. I should go back to what the post originally is 52 life lessons to take into 2022. That's why I started this one. I keep forgetting to say that. So verse 29. Number 29. Live for today, but be sure to plan for tomorrow. Live for today, but be sure to plan for tomorrow. And I try and do that as best I can. Sometimes I fall short. I try my best today, for example, when I'm planning tomorrow. I plan roughly what I need. What the big major things obviously are, I've got church tomorrow, both morning and night. And then I've got, things I want to get done in the middle of the day, and I've got gym afterwards. So I roughly know the rough schedule of my day for tomorrow, so that when tomorrow comes, I don't need to excessively worry about what I've got to do, where I've got to be, and obviously the things I've got to do tomorrow, I want to get done so that the rest of the week I don't need to worry about them, so to speak. So, but when I'm and like most people will know me, that when they ask me, oh, what are you going to do, in 2 days time, or the Friday, or I'll see you this day, and I'm going, what do you mean? Well, what's happening that day? And like, how can you forget? We've got this on. And they're going, oh yeah, of course, yeah, but like, I'm not going to remember that until like the day before. Like, I literally look, or if it's a constant reminder, like for example, if it's a big thing, like I've got a wedding on the 30th of this month, so that's blocked out in my head. So, but if that person said to me, oh, I'll see you, like if they the Monday of that Saturday, if they said I'll see you Saturday, I'll be like, what's Saturday? And then they'll be like, it's the wedding. I'm like, oh yeah, I've got it booked out, but like, I don't click 2 and 2. Like, it has, the day before is when I go, oh no, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing tomorrow and what I have to do. The finer details can wait till the day before, and then on the day is when I'm like, okay, I don't need to stress, I don't need to worry. Tomorrow's problems will come tomorrow, or tomorrow's things will come tomorrow. I can plan, okay, roughly what times and stuff like that, but I don't need to put full detail, full attention to it. It's like, tomorrow I am doing the worship leading for church in the morning, because I have to cover for my mum, because my mum is sick, unfortunately. And she wrote up a list of the songs that we're going to do for church tomorrow, which I haven't really looked at them effectively to know what I'm going to play, but I don't practice them until half an hour before service starts. I don't look at them until tomorrow morning. And I know that I'm going to play, obviously. So that's obviously one major thing that I have to obviously sort of remember, is like, okay, I'm playing tomorrow, which means I have to take the piano. But the finer details of how I'm going to put the piano in my car, or how exactly I'm going to play note for note, for example, or the chords, for example, or the words, that can worry for tomorrow. Those finer details I do not need to know about today. I only need to worry about them tomorrow, when it's actually happening. So when tomorrow is occurring. So live for today, but be sure to plan for tomorrow. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this session, or this Bible study, and I hope you all have a wonderful night. I'll see you later, and King up.